Hey y'all, happy Wednesday. I was getting ready to say Thursday because it's coming up so quick. But happy Thursday to y'all, beautiful people. I hope everybody is doing well so far for the week. Y'all, we are here to recap uh episode 3 of season 9 of The Real Housewives of Potomac. This is going to be a drive-by recap, right? I've had so much going on during the week. Thankfully, it's all turning out good, but whoo, child, had a lot going on. So do not judge me for how I came to the internet. Um, I could have been a little bit more decent, but I was like, if I don't do it now, right now, child, it won't be done. So let's go ahead and get into it, y'all. First up, make sure you like the video. Please, please, please like the video. Subscribe to the We Go Podcast YouTube channel. And also, if you could subscribe to the audio version of the podcast, go to wherever it is you listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, type in what else is going on podcast, and you will find me. All right, y'all, let's get into some things, honey. First up, so we start out the episode picking up where the ladies are being kicked out of the charity event. Stacy says she is embarrassed, and honey, Jazzy is hot. Y'all just figured out, like rewatching this episode, how to fully say her name. Like I'll be wanting to say Jossie for some reason, but it's Jazzy. So we got Jazzy, Jazzy, Jazzy. So Jazzy is hot, child. Jazzy lets Ashley know, listen, they arrived at military time only 3 minutes after. I do know that Mia had said in her Carlos King interview, which I'm going to be referencing a little bit more in certain parts of this recap, that basically they probably got there before 8, but she said, you have to get mic'd, make sure everything is good. So that probably put them after the 8 o'clock mark, but we don't know because we can't really be believing Mia, child. I told y'all before, Mia could tap me on my birthday and said, your birthday is April 4th, and I'm gonna have to check my birth certificate, even though I know it is April 4th. Anyway, like I said, Stacy says she is embarrassed. Jazzy is hot. Child, Ashley followed them out to that Sprinter van, still wanting a donation. I had tweeted, Ashley and that QR code would have got right up off my Sprinter van. And in the words of Santana and Carisha, thank you. Get up off this van. Thank you. Girl, if you don't go, the absolute unmitigated gall. Girl, you better go on somewhere. So, and as they're leaving, Mia is talking about Giselle's Willy Wonka furniture. Don't nobody want to decorate her house in her Willy Wonka furniture, which had me thinking, so did you just pull that out of the blue, or did y'all have a discussion about you helping decorate her home? Because that just seemed like it came from the sky. And then somebody called her a nasty woman. And I think that may have been Jazzy. I'm not sure. Then we get a real quick clip of Wendy and her kids. And Cruz checks in with his drip. All of them, from Wendy to Eddie to them kids. Beautiful, beautiful, glowing skin. Then we see Kay with her man Greg. She's asking him how his work. They let each other know they miss each other, child. Moving on. 18 hours after the GNA event, Stacy has Jazzy, Ashley, and Karen come over. So Jazzy is there first, and Stacy says to Jazzy, are we supposed to, why the F is Giselle walking around with security? Are we supposed to have security with these girls? I'm going to have to get some referrals. I thought that was funny. So when the doorbell rang, Stacy said, please, God, let it be Karen. Ciao. Stacy opened that door and we hear Ashley's voice, and the way Jazzy rolled her eyes, I said, Jazzy, I am you. You are me, baby. Because I would have felt the same way. Stacy basically says to Ashley when she gets back there with everybody that we need to talk. Ashley, and she says she says we need to talk and about, basically the night. And Ashley says GNA had a great night. Did y'all meet? I hope, not even being facetious, but I hope that y'all did have a great night and meet your $15,000, dollars in donations. Stacy says we did not have a great night. Jazzy calls GNA gangsters and alcohol, and Stacy said that's how y'all were acting. And Jazzy says to Ashley, well, I want to genuinely, so I'm sorry. She calls it gangsters and alcohol. Sorry, y'all, having some sangria. I feel like I'm getting hot, but anyway, she calls it, Jazzy calls it GNA, gangsters and alcohol. Doorbell rings, and so Stacy goes to answer it. I want to say Jossie and Stassi for Jazzy and Stacy. I don't know why it won't click through in my brain. Anyway, Jazzy says, Ashley, I want to genuinely say, although you weren't welcome in my Sprinter, I'm so sorry the door closed on you. Ashley said, I'm a little sore today. Girl, stop it. Jazzy says, you're not. I love that. I said, come on, Jazzy. Jazzy says, you're not because I reenacted it. And I was glad to know that it actually closes quite softly. Ashley said, but you didn't know that initially when you pushed the button. And I believe Ashley, either before that or after that, said harassment. Girl, if you don't, girl. Ashley says, you tried to close the door, but it opened, thankfully, not that you knew it would. That type of stuff was really effing rude. Child Jazzy was looking at her like, mm-hmm. Karen, when she comes in, she hears Jazzy and Ashley's elevated voice, and she says, what the F is going on? I said, Karen is dropping the F-bomb this season, ain't she? She done went from batches to F you. So Karen said, so y'all working it out? Ashley says, well, I have a question for you, Karen, in Ashley's voice. Giselle told me she talked to you on Wednesday. You told Giselle, I'm not inviting the other ladies because I don't want it to be a conflict with the group. Karen says, right. Not you admitting it. Ashley says, but then at 6:30 on Thursday morning, you sent out that group text. Karen said, I certainly did. And Ashley said, this last week, you couldn't even tell me what the award was. So Karen said, that's not true. I was at an Inquisition birthday party last week. Let's be clear. Ashley says no. So side note, when they were talking about this last episode and Giselle was basically like, she had been invited to the awards thing months before Karen's name wasn't on it. Well, Ashley Silva, for those of you who watch Love and Marriage DC, Ashley Silva recapped the Real Housewives of Potomac with Carlos. I don't know what. Anyway, I'm not even going to justify why I watched it. Child watched it. But anyway, Ashley said that was the place to be. Now, I don't know how true this is in December. Like the First Lady of Maryland was honored that night. So it was the place to be if you wanted to be seen. So, yes, the ladies were trying to support both cast members, but maybe they wanted to be seen in the mix as well. That almost seemed like that's what Ashley may have been kind of sort of alluding to. But yeah, so they say it was a big deal. Anyway, so Karen said she felt like she was at an Inquisition party last week. Let's be clear. Ashley says no. Stacy said she literally answered. That's what Stacy said. She literally answered every single question. Ashley said, oh, that was a nice little deflection. And that's fine. Child, this is where I said, Karen, if I had never seen it before, this would have been the moment that I was seeing it. Karen says, I know that you're not sitting here trying to tell me that I was deflecting. I'm sorry, when Michael was pinching asses 1, 2, and 3. So, she meant seasons 1, 2, and 3. And you're like, I can't answer that. So they do a flashback to a couple of different scenes with Ashley. I wish they would have flashback to actual scenes with Ashley saying, I can't talk about that, because she did. So why the producers pick those or the editors pick those, I don't know. But because there were times when Ashley was like, I can't talk about it. But anyway, Karen clocked her and got her right together. She says, wait, where am I? Oh, so Karen says, I'm in a case where I could have died. Now, Karen, Ashley says, or taking the life of somebody else. I said, now I got to give Ashley that. Child, Karen, why is you making me side with Ashley in that little thing? You was right about that one little piece. So Karen said, and let me be very clear. I knew when you gave me those Uber receipts that you were being shady as F. Of course, they do a flashback to Ashley giving her the $200 worth of Uber gift cards. Karen said, I should have given them back to you so you could get consultation to get that human being of an effing acorn off your foot. Okay. Karen, that was funny. I feel like she tied Ashley up and wrapped her up. I also feel like Ashley, me personally, girl, you should have kept that little shady gift and used that $200 to hire somebody to cut your grass, since Michael won't. So you don't got to be out there cutting the grass. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Ashley says, are you coming for my bunions? Y'all, and then proceeds to put her one foot on the island and then the other. I said, listen here. My God, the ancestors on today, at least half of her ancestors. Okay. She says, are you coming for my bunions? Evidently, she has, like I said, a big one on both feet. In her confessional, Stacy says, and here comes Ashley's bunions. Where did they come from? Ashley is a beautiful woman from top to ankle. I said that was a Candace level shade. Come on, Stacy. They gonna be. I I tweeted this. I hope Stacy and Jazzy be on that neck of Ashley's and be time enough for her. That was funny though. Stacy says, Ashley's beautiful from top. It's a beautiful woman from top to ankle. So Ashley was like, "How about you worry about whether or not you're getting jail time?" I said, "Oh, oh, oh, oh." I said, "Now Karen really could have snapped back with, you're absolutely right. I'm really trying to handle this. Do you think maybe Michael would give me a call and let me know how he dealt with the possibility of jail time because he was touching people without their consent for multiple seasons? How did he sit in that? What did he meditate on?" Anyway, Ashley says, "I didn't want to go there with you, but you took me there. You took me there." Stacy says, "That's too much." Karen said, was like, "I was talking about your feet." And then Ashley says, "Okay, don't make me laugh." So they were able to kind of bounce right back. As much as Ashley gets on my nerves, and I've never seen it for her since season one, I can admit that she gives it. Now, she can't always take it. She couldn't really, even with Candace, she could take it, but well, she couldn't really take, like Candace would gag her. I'll say that was been one of the only people that could gag her, and Karen sometimes, but she can bounce back. Um, so let me see. Oh, so Stacy says, "How on earth are we supposed to move forward?" And Karen says, "Easily." So Stacy says, "Is Giselle going to apologize?" Karen said Giselle is wrong, and Ashley agreed and said yes. In her confessional, Ashley says, "I don't know what it's going to take, but Giselle does not say she's sorry." The way they keep saying it, it's like, not that Ashley's trying to make it a flex, but it's almost like this badge of honor. It's like, no, she don't. If you can't apologize, then something's wrong. I can see not apologizing when you haven't done anything, but let's be clear. I mean, anyway, and Ashley says, I mean, she's like, they used to call her the ice queen, right? Stacy says, "So we're able to move forward if Giselle is able to apologize." Ashley says, "Okay, that's fine." So Stacy kind of rolls her eyes and says, "We'll be waiting on that." Next, Wendy's mom is at the house. She told Wendy, "It really baffles me that you don't know how to make yam porridge, child." The scene was really cute. Wendy was telling, her mom that Eddie's father reached out to say Happy Mother's Day. So she's going to invite them to her 40th birthday party. Wendy's mom brings up how, you know, she tried to hug her. I believe it was at Cruz's baptism, maybe. It was that long ago back. And basically, she kind of backed away from her. So Wendy's mother was like, "God is going to judge you," because she didn't want to hug you. So we all, in case you don't remember, Wendy's mom and Eddie's mom were very good friends, very, very good friends. They had a falling out. And then Wendy and Eddie fell in love and got married. And it's been a rift with the family. So hopefully, if they choose to and want to, and it's not toxic, they can move forward and heal. Wendy's excited. She shares with her mom that she's going to be celebrating her 40th birthday in North Carolina. Mia is taking them there. Um, like I said, this is going to be Mia's trip. She also says her mom cooks for them, and her mom acts like if she don't cook, they don't eat. And Wendy's like, "I can cook, but my mom does the like deep stuff." And I feel like that with my family too. Like I can cook, but like the big stuff in quotes, like, no, that's for my mom. And when my grandma was living, like my grandma and my mother-in-law, like, so I get what Wendy was saying, but it was a cute scene. So we see Kay at the house with her mom. They're both beautiful. Greg, is that his name? Gregory? Kay's boyfriend had a root canal, so she sent him upstairs to rest, and she's cooking breakfast. She tells her mom Greg don't like her eggs, and her mom says, "Let me see them eggs," and she says, "No, you are not going to roast me." In her confessional, Kay says, "I think it's great that Greg and I are going to share some space together until the new home is ready. And I'm going to be honest, I've never been a thirsty ring girl. So for me, it was just very important that I got into the home with Greg and that we could be happy together as a family unit, and then the rest will come." She calls Greg down. Greg comes down to get his plate of food. Her mom, excuse me, Greg says to her mom, "What's going on with you?" She says, "I'm coming to check on you." He goes, "I appreciate it." So her mom says to Greg, "How's it been with Kay living here?" He says, "Oh, it's transitions on both ends. It takes some getting used to, but she's doing amazing. Then he said, I'll see y'all later. He goes on upstairs. So Kay's mom asks her, how are you doing? And Kay says, I feel like I have a lot of hats on right now. Um, but it's going well. She says the house is almost ready, but it got pushed back a few weeks. And that's a little stress on both of them. She also feels like she's consumed, but in a good way. Her mom says, okay, so what does the road to marriage look like? Child. You know, them mamas, honey, them black mamas. She says, and it may be all mamas, they just may be a mama thing. She says, oh my God, Ma, seriously? Her mom says, yeah. And Kay is like, you're back at this again. Every time I talk to you, I feel like you're heavy on the M word, marriage. So Kay says, I don't want to be the thirsty ring girl. You know, the girls that'll be like, oh, I want to get married. So her mom says, first and foremost, you are not the thirsty girl. Kay says, yeah, I don't want to be. Her mom says, you are the confident woman that waited for the guy to come along. Um, so in her confessional, she says, Greg is divorced and has three daughters. She's the first woman that Greg's kids have met after he got divorced. So that was a lot of pressure on her. She says she loves the girls, they're great kids, and she's just there to be a good influence. So her mom said, just remember, family first. Kay is like always family first. And then her mom says, God, family, and money. And Kay was like, I guess the money portion might have been kind of low on the totem pole for her. So they were cute. Moving on, we're at Giselle's house with Angel and Adore. They're coming to prom. And look who shows up. The gentleman that said, you will never, ever, ever see me on the Real Housewives of Potomac again. Pastor Bryant shows up. But listen, I understand that. Those are his girls. It's only like an hour and some change flight from Atlanta. I get it. The scene was really cute. They're trying to figure out the curfew. One of the twins is like, my social battery runs out at 11, so 12:30 is a good curfew. Giselle says the other twin wants to party like a rock star. I was kind of looking at the curfew like, okay, I get 12:30, but at the same time, don't prom go to like 11 or 12. We did not give my youngest a curfew for prom, and thank God for her dad because I was tired. He picked him up. She didn't want to drive her car, so he was the chauffeur. Him and another, and wait, I think his cousin stayed up here with us. They took him somewhere, child. Then it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. They wanted to go somewhere else. Child, if you looking at them before and after prom pictures, was hilarious. But they had a really good time. And look, they all agreed on the curfew, 12:30. One of them had a little date or whatever. And Giselle, she said, wait, what did she say? Oh, it was funny when Jamal said, y'all got to be ready for church in the morning. Clearly, I'm thinking he was just kidding because he didn't expect them to get on no flight back to Atlanta. But I know that he probably got on a flight back so he could be there for Sunday service. So let me see. There's something that I wanted to say that I thought, oh, so Giselle says she's really missing her dad because whenever the girls had something, they were always there. You know, the girls were close to her dad. And every time I see grandkids close to their grandparents, it touches me because I was very close to my grandparents, like extremely close. So when my grandfather passed away, my second year of college, I was like distraught and devastated. And then my grandmother passed away in 2017. Sometimes it still feels like just yesterday because you know how people say, oh, my grandma was like a second mom. She wasn't a second mom, like she was just another mom. And that's how my grandfather was like another dad. But so I can just imagine what they're feeling. And then also in real life, Jamal's mom just passed away not even a month ago. So they've just lost another grandparent. So my heart's out to them. The family. I know that has to, you know, every important milestone, you're reminded the person's I'm not there. But I'm sure they're thankful for the time they did have with Giselle's dad. So there was something that so Giselle also said that, wait, give me 1 second. Look, child, reading these notes of mine, I'm like, where am I? Where am I? Oh, in her confessional, she says she got home and she thought about the G&A cocktail event and she realizes she's not mad at the lady, she's mad at Karen. They were total collateral damage and she just needs to apologize. Come on, whoever had that talk before the season. Okay. Then she says, give me 1 second. I wanted to say, oh, in her confessional, she said she's going to have to take a Xanax when she takes him to college because it's like the end of all you know as it relates to your children. And I felt her in that moment. I've been there, my oldest went off to the Air Force, and then my son, when he went off to college, child, I thought you was gonna have to pick up me and the youngest off the floor because all my kids are very close. They especially like they all talk all the time, and I made sure to foster that when they were growing up. I would always say, when you leave out of the house, I hope that y'all have a good relationship, but that's on y'all. But while you're here, we want to foster a healthy sibling relationship, meaning it's okay to disagree. It's okay to have your own thoughts, but never let anyone else come in and try to disrespect your siblings and break y'all closeness up, and learn how to settle your disputes. So, um, when my son left, it was like, oh my God, child, my youngest was a mess. I was a mess. And then when she left, it was like my life had been centered around them for so long, especially because I've said before, they were in entertainment. So we were going to New York 2 and 3 days out of the week for them to do these amazing auditions. So my life, I couldn't plan anything, because if they booked it, you do the audition, they call you and say, okay, you're on hold for the project. Don't plan. So for so many years, my life was about them. And one thing I did do was still make sure I made time still for my husband. It wasn't just, oh, kids, no husband. It was, my life was about everybody else, it seemed like. So then you're on your own, like, wait a minute, what do I want to do? What do I like? So I get what Giselle's saying. Everything you once knew is no more. So even though they're moving into another phase of their life, but so are you. So I felt her on that. So Mia and Ink at the staycation. Ciao. Mia said her and Ink were high school sweethearts. They dated into their young adolescence. Can we mention Carlos King's interview with her? So let's jump forward. Mia on Twitter recently posted, or on Instagram, whatever, about how she was 19. And basically, the way she worded it was, Gordon took advantage of a 19-year-old. In the interview, she talks about how she was 19 when she met Gordon, but she was in a relationship with Ink, living with him. And that Gordon co-signed the car for her, bought her things, but they were not a thing. And they lost touch. And in between the time they lost touch to when they got back together, it was like 2 or more years. And she had gotten married, had a baby, and gotten divorced. So I'm like, anyway, okay. If you watch the earlier video that I did about Mia, I go more into depth, but I was just a little bit confused. But anyway, Mia talked about how Gordon lives in her building, and just to keep the peace, they sometimes go to an Airbnb. So they're basically not like running into him. And so they have some privacy, no random pop ups for coffee. She says it's a little strange. Now, also in her interview with Carlos King, she said Gordon has a girlfriend who is either her age or younger. I'm not sure. She's running to her in the hallway and says that basically, I mean, she's cute, but he could have done better. Like, that's who you picked. I said, girl, I know you. No, no, no. I'm not going to say nothing. Anyway, be quiet. So Jacqueline and her girls get there. Eva, who's 12, and Blakely, who is 5. Jacqueline comes in with some wine, and in her confessional, Mia says, we're going to celebrate Pat's birthday. Jacqueline's on again, off again. And then she goes, wait a minute, are they considered a boyfriend if they've been together for like 14 years? Now, I believe this is the guy. Remember 2 seasons ago? Was it last season? Or the season before, when Robin had that so-called family day at the field and didn't invite Wendy, but was like, Candace can bring Wendy's kids or something like that. But anyway, Jacqueline showed up, and Patrick came, I think, and she introduced him as PP then. And Giselle was like, what does that stand for? And she explained it then. But anyway, so Pat's there, he shows up. So Ink says, what's up with the cake? So Jacqueline comes in, gives him a hug, and was like, oh my gosh, what a nice surprise. Mia was like, you didn't know he was going to be here? And I was like, well, Mia, if you didn't tell her, how would she have known unless they have their own friendship? Okay. Anyway, she says it's a pleasant surprise. Again, how would she have known when Mia says you didn't know? Also, in her Carlos King interview, Carlos straight up asked her about Ink, her, and Jacqueline having a threesome. She said, what did I say on the show? Because she couldn't remember. She said it's not always Mia be lying. Sometimes she does stretch the truth, but sometimes it's Mia don't remember. Those was her words. But in the Carlos King interview, she said she doesn't remember if they did anything together. She doesn't think so, but they have showered together before, all three of them. Okay, anyway. So Ing says, "What's up with the cake?" And Jacqueline says, "It's Patrick's birthday is Monday, and we decided since we're all going to be together, we want to celebrate." She says, "And I'm so glad you're here. I really want you to meet him." It almost came off like first you said you didn't know he was going to be there, but now you're saying, "I'm so glad you're here." Like it almost could have come off like at first I didn't think I said I didn't know you were going to be here, but actually I did. But I think maybe she didn't know, and it just came out like, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. I've been wanting y'all to meet." Maybe that's what she meant. Or have you child? This contact is trying to go, hey, well, I'm trying to see out this eye, like what's going on. She says, "I really want you to meet him. I think you guys will like each other a lot." Ing says, "For sure." In her confessional, I'm going to read you verbatim what Jacqueline said because I've heard a lot of different things. And actually, on Carlos's recap with Ashley Silva, he said, Jacqueline said verbatim that Ink made a pass at her verbatim. And people in the comments are confirming it. I said, well, if we're going by words, because words do matter. Yes, sometimes when we're recapping, we may paraphrase, whatever, but she didn't say outright that Ink made a pass at her, Carlos. This is what she said. Ink and Mia were pretty wild together, living this kind of rebel lifestyle. Now, I thought this was kind of weird, but after they split, because Mia wasn't available, he was asking me out for like dinner. I kind of was like, let me stay away because I don't want those problems. It makes me think either he was asking her out for reasons that we think for nefarious reasons, or he was asking her out to try to get the 411 on Jacqueline. And either she just didn't say that part to make it seem salacious, because remember, she admitted in her interview with Carlos King a couple years back after her first season that her and Mia kind of came together and came up with the plan to basically make viewers think that there was a possibility of a threesome with her, Gordon, and Mia. So I'm like, so are you purposely saying Ink asked you out and you're saying you don't want those problems, but it was because he was trying to figure out what's the 411 with Mia, and you're just not saying that, and Mia's in on it so that the viewers' minds automatically go there and create interest in you? I don't know. See, and that's the problem when you find out people come right out and say, oh, yeah, we planned these storylines. It's like, I put you in the same boat as Mia, Jacqueline. Believe you. Anyway, ciao, 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 ciao. So she didn't meet up. She said she ain't want them problems. Patrick, Jacqueline's ex, comes in and Ink says, yo, man, when you walked in, she called you PP or something. Jacqueline says, it's a joke. Or no, Mia says it's a joke. And Jacqueline says, we're separated at the moment and we're co-parenting. So I created that name because we're working on parenting in a peaceful manner. That's why I call him PP. Also because he has a big PP. Mia says, Jacqueline, and they start laughing. That's the same story that she had 2 seasons ago when she started at Robin's little family day thing, that they weren't together, but they were co-parenting. Anyway, Mia and Jacqueline go into the living room. Patrick says to Ink, so you got any kids? And it appears that Ink is saying, mm-hmm. As Jeremiah came downstairs and bringing a tablet to Mia saying it didn't charge. It wasn't working. Mia saying, it's okay, baby. You see Ink's hands pouring a drink while you hear his voice say, that's my baby right there. Patrick says, they change your world, man. Ink says they change everything. I do not believe that Ink was talking about Jeremiah in that moment, which is why they didn't show his face or him saying it, which is why, to me, this storyline is a little bit gross considering Mia shut down paternity questions last season. Even though Gordon did bring it up, Mia shut it down and said, I know my body. I use fertility treatments, blah, 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 blah. But now they're playing it up for the camera like this. Like, I thought that was not cool. I do not believe that Ink was saying that Jeremiah was his baby. I really, really, really don't. So Mia calls Ink and PP, aka Patrick, over to join them. And Jacqueline says, so how are things going with Gordon? And Mia says, where do I start? She says, one day he'll say he has a hangnail and wants her to clip it. The next day he'll say he misses his coffee cup, so he needs it. Patrick says you got to see what he's going through. Also, he can't control it sometimes. So you got to be positive and just help him out. Mia says, correct. And in her confessional, Mia says, Gordon being in the same building is definitely beneficial for the children. She said, my dad not being in my life as an adolescent was a disaster. They do a flashback to where Mia is with Robin and Giselle and says she was in the foster system, which, by the way, I believe we found out that she wasn't technically in the system. Her grandmother was going to raise her, but she didn't want to follow the rules. So she decided to live with Jacqueline's family and some other families, but allegedly she was never officially in the foster system. Anyway, she said, so she is responsible for making sure that the kids have positive father influences in their lives. Child, okay. Let me take a drink. Stacy and TJ, they go to Sweat DC. Stacy gets there first, tells her trainer, my friend TJ has been on me saying we got to build this up, meaning her arms. TJ walks in. Stacy goes in for a hug. TJ backs up and says, you see how awkward she's acting? Gives the trainer a hug, pats the side of him and says, oh, you work out. Like you really work out or you're fit. The trainer asks how they know each other. TJ says, or no, Stacy says either TJ or Stacy says they started working out in 2013. Oh, no, I'm sorry. TJ asked the trainer how the trainer and Stacy know each other. And the trainer says they started working out together in 2013. In her confessional, Stacy says that the closer she started to get towards her divorce, she started to allow herself to even think about the possibility of a romantic relationship with TJ. She said, I don't know. It just started to feel different. And then I knew something was happening. So they do a workout. Stacy said, why did he give us the big balls? And TJ says, that's what every Black man wants. I said, the balls? I think it would be the penis, not the ball. Real big balls might indicate like a problem. Not always. Okay, TJ. Stacy says, speaking of balls, and TJ says, listen, I'm not sleeping with you, man. I'm just not going to do it. Stacy says, you don't have to say it like that, right? Like, I want to hear what I want to hear. How much do you want to sleep with me? He says on a scale of 1 to 10. And she says, yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10. He says the letter K. She says, what does that mean? And he says 0. She's very awkwardly trying to hug him. Let me just get through the scene, then I'm going to give my thoughts. In the confessional, the producer says, is he a virgin? And she smiles and says he's not a virgin. He has had intimacy with other partners. He doesn't want to be intimate with a woman until she is his wife. Those were his exact words. Say it again. He has had intimacy with other partners. He doesn't want to be intimate with a woman unless she's his wife. Producer says, are you going to wait that long? She says, he's worth the wait. She just hopes that they're not like 70 trying to do the do. Child medicine has come a long way, baby. So you can be 70 and still getting it in. After the trainer leaves, TJ says, so how are you handling everything? Where are you with where are you with the divorce? Stacy says, so how am I handling what specifically? He says, negotiation process, specifically where you are. She says, it's a lot. He says, I love that you avoid, like you're avoiding it. She says, because I want to spend time with you. I don't want to talk about heavy stuff. He says, what are you talking about? You don't want to talk about heavy stuff. You don't mind lifting heavy stuff. Now, sir. Anyway, Stacy says, you know where I am. He says, where are you? She says, I'm trying to separate a life that I've shared with someone for 20 years. In her confessional, Stacy says, my husband and I are a very well-known couple in the area, and I serve on a lot of boards. So I'm really sort of walking a tightrope with my new best friend, but also being respectful of the life that I'm transitioning from. TJ says, I just need you to realize that I have to do things the right way. It's a process for everything. Stacy says, can you give me the grace of it being a new situation? He says, I just need to make sure that there is a start and a finish. Okay, look. Oh, child, we still got a lot more of this to go. Okay, I'm gonna have to, I said it was gonna be a drive-by, right? Child, I'm still talking. Okay. Here's my thing. I noticed that people are saying, oh, celibacy. He don't really want her. I'm gonna say this. For everybody, sex is not the top of the list. They may like sex, they may enjoy sex, but maybe it's not a major thing for them. Because on one hand, we say all men do is think about sex, but then on the other hand, you have a man who's saying, just hear me out, that he's celibate. And we're like, oh, that can't be. He's got to be gay or he doesn't want her. I do believe there are people that are I was going to say are so into their faith, but I feel like I'm in my faith too, but are wanting to do whatever it is they can by their faith and live a life according to their faith, even though we all fall short, but they're striving, right? Which is a good thing because we all should be striving to live by what we say we believe in, right? So I do believe there are men, no matter how hard it is, men and women who want to live a celibate life. I'm not going to just say that's so impossible and that means he's weird. It just seems to me like he didn't have any interest. And a part of me wondered, he is a Christian and he knows that she's saying this on TV, is he trying to make it so that nobody is watching him, whether people from his faith, from his church, wherever, his bishop, questioning him. And so he's trying to make it a point to show I'm celibate, I'm living what I'm talking. And that's why he was so like, no, I'm not going to have sex with you on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay. Because what he could have said was, yes, I desire you, but I'm really trying to walk this thing out. So, but he didn't. It came off very much like, which is why I can see why people are saying, okay, he's not that into you. Because I don't think the celibacy thing, somebody being celibate means that they're not into you. It could mean that they're fighting through, right? So, but his reaction is what made it seem like I can get with the celibacy thing, but your reaction to her is very strong. Like, then there's the other piece where he's saying, basically, I feel like I'm not going to get too invested in this because you do seem like you are upset about the divorce, which I get it, but I'm not going to get my feelings all wrapped up. And you ain't even really over this man. But again, the way he comes off saying it, I get him wanting to say, listen, I need to make sure there's a start date and an end date and me not just be in this thing. One could say, well, he's such a devout Christian. Why is he dating someone that's still legally married? Yes, there's that too. And especially if she's still living with him, even though that they're in separate rooms. I don't think that's such a big deal. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't know. But if they're already going through the divorce proceedings and it's pretty much done, whatever. But it's just if someone else presented all of this, like, look, I need to be sure that you are really getting a divorce because I don't want my feelings all mixed in and then you change your mind. And also, I'm really trying to be celibate. I could get with that. Again, it's not foreign. However, it's his reactions and the way he's carrying it is like, are you even interested in her? That's what makes me question it. The way he's responding to her and his like body language. So, Stacy, girl, keep your eyes open. Mm. Child, we at Mia's apartment. She says she likes her corner sweet. The kids are having the best time. She tells Ink and she believes that's because they see that she's happy. This is her fourth place in 4 years. She said a girl has moved around. And again, she absolutely loves her posted on the corner suite. They're making cookies. Ink says, let's talk about the girls trip, babe. I said, okay. Ink didn't jump right on in and said, I'm jumping in, with the madness. He says, is everybody going? Let's talk about the girls trip. She says she's excited because, basically it's like taking them back to where she's from. She feels like she's going home. Everybody's going. Everybody's invited. Ink says, even Auntie, ciao. She says, who's Auntie? And then she kind of looks at him and was like, oh, Giselle. She says, we've talked. Giselle has apologized. They show a flashback to her apologizing. I was like, okay, come on for the apology. Then they get into Karen's case. He's like, how's Karen? And she's like, whispering about it. And they're like, why are we whispering? We don't want nobody to know she's got a case. Maryland, and then Mia must have went on the Maryland Judiciary. Oh my God, the website escapes me. But basically, when you type somebody's name and all this stuff come up, yeah, it's all listed. And she realized it was a criminal case. Okay. Giselle, Ashley, Wendy, Jazzy, I was going to call that girl Jazzy. Jazzy and Stacy get together. Giselle and Ashley arrive first. In her confessional, Giselle says she thinks that Karen has Stacy and Jazzy under a spell and she needs to get them out from under Karen. Other words, she needs to get them on her team. She said this is typical Karen behavior when you know your back is up against the wall. Stacy and Jazzy get there next. Stacy says, Giselle, because Giselle greeted her with a hug. She said, Giselle, I'm very glad that you greeted me in a very loving manner. And Giselle says, that's how I do, honey. And Jazzy says, it's very different from the last time. Giselle says, it is. Jazzy says, so if this is how you do, I'm happy to see that side. Giselle basically apologized and said it wasn't necessarily you guys. Stacy said, we were just trying to show up and support everybody. Giselle said, I understand that. She said, it's really towards Karen, and that's something that Karen and I will deal with because Karen knew exactly what she was doing. She says, I apologize for throwing you out. Jazzy says, Jazzy says, I really appreciate that. And Stacy says, thank you. I accept your apology. Wendy walks in, honey, looking good in that red. I said, come on, Dr. Wendy, to you, sweetie. Wendy says, what was y'all talking about? And Jazzy says, I'm really extremely appreciative of Giselle's apology. And Wendy says, Giselle apologized and gives a look like not hell must have frozen over, but child. Somebody at Bravo must have had a conversation. Anyway, she said, Giselle apologized. And Giselle says, cooler heads have prevailed. I've eaten a good meal. And yeah, in her confessional, Wendy said, this is new. Who is this Giselle? What is happening? This is Giselle's body double. In the scene, Giselle said, I know the ladies. Oh, no, in her confessional, I'm sorry, Giselle says, I know the ladies kind of caught my wrath and didn't really have anything to do with it. And that's why I apologize because it wasn't nice. Wendy says, we're going to the Tar Heel State. So we see Mia's text to the group that says, Happy Friday, Queens. I'd like to officially invite you all to travel with me to the Queen City. We will stay at an estate on Lake Norman for a much needed getaway cruise. For a much needed getaway cruise. No, we're going to cruise, dine, and be fine. Check emails, lots of additional information. See you soon. Wendy says, we can celebrate my birthday, and all the ladies cheer. Giselle said, Wendy going to be acting brand new. So Ashley says, yes, Portugal, Wendy. And Giselle says, Portugal, Wendy. So they show a flashback of the ladies in Portugal. And Stacy says, what is Portugal, Wendy? Wendy says, you'll have to wait. So Giselle says, now, Stacy, I know that you have 2 kids. Stacy says, I do not have 2 kids. And Wendy says she has 1. And Giselle says, oh, ish, like, my bad. I put laughing faces because that was funny. Stacy says, I have 1 and I've been married for 16 years and I have a beautiful, amazing daughter, Arabella, who is 8 years old. And I'm recently going through a divorce, unfortunately. In the 16 years that we were together, we kind of lost each other. Giselle said, so do you want the divorce? Because it sounds like you're sad about it. Like when I was getting to the end of the road, I was happy. That's why I'm asking. I get why Giselle was getting happy at the end of the road, considering what all went on in her marriage, the cheating, the embarrassment, the scandals, all of that. So Stacy said, I'm never going to be happy about a divorce. Ashley said, she good, you good though, you got a new friend. And Giselle said, oh, so you moved on. Husband, goodbye. Okay, moving on. Ashley said, yeah, she good. Child, Stacy was like this. She good. Goodbye. Goodbye, husband. Moving on. Stacy said, Ashley, I need to learn to do Stacy's voice. Stacy said, Ashley, I've spent multiple days with you at my home. I've given you a beverage. No, I'm just kidding. Talking about my marriage, my children. And Wendy said, and what she do? And did a little hand movement. And what did she do? Stacy said, she came here over charcuterie and drinks and just spilled all my business. Ashley says, is this a secret? Stacy said, Ashley, I'm so cautious because I'm talking about the mental health of my daughter. I'm not ashamed of my friend. I'm ashamed of the way you brought it to this table. I said, child, she said, I actually said I didn't know that you were going. Wait, so Ashley says, I actually didn't know that you were going about telling people individually. I didn't know that. In her confessional, Stacy says, Ashley is really surprising me. She's not the person that I thought she was. In her confessional, Ashley said, I didn't know TJ was a bean to spill. The way it was conveyed to me, you just had a friend. She talks about Vivian all the time. If TJ is just a friend like Vivian, then what's the big deal? Why can't I say his name? Ashley said, so then in scene, Giselle says, they say that kids' self awareness and sense of self is based off of the mother's happiness. Focus on your happiness because it's only going to make your daughter better. So if your happiness is with this new dude, then rock out, like live it. Stacy says, thank you. Hair flip. And she's looking at Jossie and probably Wendy like, girl, go home. Now, look, y'all know I don't see it for Ashley. However, I will say this. Was Ashley being messy or basically making sure, let's spill this because it's part of the job? Yes. I don't think she necessarily knew she wasn't supposed to say it because it was said on camera. But yeah, she was being a little messy, bringing it out like that, of course, right? So I was with Ashley a little bit like, I didn't know this was the secret. Now, when she was like, you talk about Vivian all the time and Vivian's a friend, girl, stop. You know, that's totally different. I'm not with Ashley on that part, but I am with her on the part where she was like, I didn't know this is a secret. Like, okay, girl. But I also get Stacy, like, yes, we're being filmed, but I was telling you that. Like, that's for me to tell everybody. So I get both sides. All right. The ladies are getting ready to leave for Charleston. They show up to the airport, probably look like BWI. I think, was that BWI or was that, what's the other one, y'all? Dulles. Probably Dulles with them, right? But they, anyway, it don't matter. Giselle arrives, Ashley arrives, child Jacqueline is already there. Jacqueline is always the first one to show up. She's like, I'm here, ready to film. I'm here. Child, Jacqueline is not late, okay? In her confessional, uh, Jacqueline, was it Jacqueline that says, oh, no. Kay says, let's go to Lake Norman, baby. I'm hoping this will be a super cute girls trip and just ready to have a cute time. Ashley in her confessional says, obviously, after the GNA event, things got a little tense. It'll be nice for us to get a little change of scene. Wendy says, I'm ready to be the queen of the queen, baby. Giselle said in her confessional, all the other girls, I'm just looking for a good little kiki. But Karen, girl, we're going to do some talking. So the ladies are all at the table eating. It's so fun when you get to the airport early, you're relaxed, you're looking forward to your trip and you like eat. Like when me and Corey do that, I love that. Or like when I've done that with my cousins, like when we were going to Vegas, like it's just nice and friends just to have your drinks and eat before you get on the plane. Anyway, so Giselle and Karen are going to talk. The ladies are at the table eating. Everybody's there except for Stacy. So the ladies ask, where is Stacy? And Mia says that she's taking a car because someone in her family died in an aviation accident. So for the month of May, she doesn't fly. We see a flashback scene 3 days prior where Mia is on the phone with Stacy and they're showing Mia, but we hear Stacy on speakerphone. She says, would you mind if I just met you ladies? I know you're flying, but I really want to honor my mother's brother. So I'm assuming her uncle passed away in an aviation accident. And so for the month of May, she doesn't fly. Karen and Mia, so they get on the plane, child, they're flying. They land the cars, the way they divide the cars. Karen and Mia get in the first car. I said, Mia played that because she knew I'm going to get this camera time with just Karen. I'm going to try to get something out of her. So, because I was shocked that Jacqueline wasn't in the car with them. But Karen and Mia are in the first car, Wendy, Giselle, and Jacqueline in the second car, Ashley, Kay, and Jazzy in the third car. So while they're in their car, Kay says to Jazzy, how long have you been dating? You know, her man. Jazzy says 2 years. And Kay says, oh, we're at the 2-year mark too. So then Kay says to Jazzy, was he married? Jazzy says, no, he was never married and never in a serious relationship ever. Here comes child. Kay says, so does he have children? And Jazzy says, yes, he does have children. Again, he was never in a serious relationship. And Kay laughs. She kind of giggles. We know why she laughed because we know that Jazzy was sending a clear message to the baby mama / baby mamas. Y'all may have had kids, but he wasn't in a serious relationship with you. Now, does she think that reflects good on the man? I don't know. But we definitely know she was sending out a message like, He was not in a serious relationship. He just got kids. Mm-hmm. Child, you better hope they don't come out of the woodwork in 3, 2, 1. The baby mamas with stories. Anyway, so Giselle and Wendy and Jacqueline are in their car. Giselle asked Wendy, how does it feel to be turning 40? Wendy said she's excited about it. She said, this is the last day of her 30s. That's crazy, right? Giselle says, no, not really. Reminds me of one of my girlfriends, just very much like, no, girl, it's going to happen. It's a part of life. So she says, no, girl, not really. So they see a church, and Giselle says, oh, that church is wrapped in the blood of Jesus. And Wendy says, you go to Catholic church on Sunday? And I remember reading that Giselle was Catholic. She would go to a Catholic church like every Sunday. And I believe somebody said they would see her, and it was after her divorce. But anyway, because I think was she raised Catholic? Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, she says the church is wrapped in the blood of Jesus. And Wendy says, you go to Catholic church on Sunday? Giselle said, yes. And Wendy said, do you really? And Giselle said, yes. And Wendy said, I learned something new about Giselle Bryant every time I'm with her. I never knew this. Giselle said the only time she stopped going to the Catholic church was when she was married. So Wendy says, wasn't that like a big transition for you because he's Baptist? And Giselle says AME. Because you have Baptist and AME, which is African. Y'all, I forgot. And I was raised Pentecostal. Well, the church was Pentecostal. But then during the time that we did go to Jamal's church when we first moved to Maryland, AME, African Methodist. Hold on. Y'all, now I got to tell y'all. I should know. African Methodist Episcopal Church, or acute medical emergency, however you want to use it. Depending on where you go, it could be acute. Shut up, Taria. Okay, so anyway, she says, wasn't that different? Because he was Baptist. Giselle says, AME. And she said that, she said, it's a different vibe. And Giselle was like, yes. In her confessional, Giselle said, I'm actually enjoying Wendy. Can you imagine that coming out of my mouth right now? I'm enjoying Wendy. Yeah, I can imagine it because you and Wendy got along Wendy's first season. It wasn't until she clocked you with them braids and that lip gloss and said, this is payback for everything you've done. Anyway, but they're getting along. They're having a good time. There's not a lot of tension, which is always good, right? So in her confessional, Wendy says, we're taking baby steps. It'll take time, but we'll see where it goes. So in her car with Karen, Mia says, this is going to be so much fun. We're in Queen City. I want us all to behave like queens. And then she asks Karen how she's doing. Karen says, I'm going through a lot. My back's up against the wall. And when it's legal, you can't talk about it. And I just try not to say that over and over again. Mia says, Karen, it's on the internet. Karen says, then read it. Mia says, I did. That's why I'm checking in on you. And I was wondering if that was a save on her part. Like, you're positioning it now after Karen says, read it. Like, oh, I did read it. That's why I'm checking on you versus before, like, girl, you can talk about it because it's on the internet. Those are two different intents behind it, right? But anyway, Karen says it's all about taking care of Karen. Like, she's always soldiering for someone else in her family. It was that moment where it all just hit, Mia says you were distracted. And Karen says, I can't talk about that part. I don't want to incriminate myself. In her confessional, Mia says, I'm really trying not to chastise her. I'm more so wanting to make sure that she knows I'm here as a friend. But the number one step is admitting that you actually did it. She hasn't even gotten there. And then in the scene, Mia says, but there's going to come a time when you're going to break. Then we see a flash forward child that says 4 hours later, and boom, we got to show people. So listen, I was one too that was like, Karen can talk about this more, da 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 da, knowing that it's a criminal case and that she was trying to beat it at a point because she tried to get it dismissed in June and it was denied in June. And I'm wondering if this was around the time they were filming. I do not blame Karen for saying too much. She can't say too much because she can incriminate herself. However, then maybe that would have meant for her to take this season off because you had to know this was going to be a part of your storyline or try to figure out a way to talk around it while still sharing. I mean, that's hard because if it was me and it was a criminal case, I know I wouldn't be on TV talking about it. So if I were asked back and I made the choice, I probably would be like with Karen. I don't necessarily think I may say I could have died or I could have this. You could say it is a bad situation. It was a bad, even saying that though, because they'd be like, well, what about the situation was bad? Right. So even if she said, like, I'm going through a lot right now, and y'all, as much as I want to pour my heart out to y'all and discuss this, because I have so many different feelings surrounding this, happy, sad, upset, maybe not happy, but you know what I mean. I just can't really get into the specifics with y'all. I really just can't. And I'm going to need y'all as my friends to respect that. Something like that without just straight up seeming like you're brushing it off or making it like I'm the victim, I'm the victim, I'm the victim. Because that's why I was with Ashley, that one little piece, that one little thing that she clocked when she said, when Karen said I could have died, and she said, or someone else's life could have been taken. So I get all of that with Karen. That's why it's hard. Would I have wanted Karen to sit out a season? No. But at the same time, if we can't talk about it at all, then maybe that's what she should have done. I don't know. What do y'all think? Y'all, I enjoyed this episode. I thought it was funny. It was I didn't sit through the whole episode with my butt cheeks clenched. Um, as I have so many seasons before in Potomac. It was cool. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I love y'all so much. I will probably see y'all on Friday for my Salt Lake City recap. Salt Lake City comes on tonight. Love y'all so much. Please, again, y'all make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and also the audio version wherever it is you find your podcast. I love y'all so much, and I will see y'all later. Also, wait, hold on. Side note. At the beginning of the episode, when they showed him getting kicked out, and Mia says she don't do tasteless or classless. Did you forget the trip that you took them on? Was it last year or the year before to Miami when you had them in paddle boats and sandwiches wrapped in and not even in aluminum foil, but in plastic wrap? But you don't do. Y'all, I love y'all so much. The girls are all playing ball. And I guess that's all we can ask for. Again, I enjoyed the episode. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I will talk to y'all later. See ya. Me up my sangria about to take a nap.